Growing up, it really felt like every kid had two roads ahead of them. Are you Team Batman or Team Spider-Man? I grew up watching the Raimi films and playing Spider-Man 1 and 2 on the GameCube, so I was a huge fan of Spidey. My only real exposure to the Bat was the Lego game and the Batman v Superman movie. So yeah, I'm not working with a lot here. So when the 2022 movie came around, I didn't really know what to expect. And to my surprise, it was really good. I like the dark and more mature tone they're going for. It's a nice change of pace from the glossy look of the MCU. It's the first superhero movie in a while that doesn't treat the viewer like a child. Robert's performance was top tier, and Gotham really felt like a war-torn Cleveland. The Batman is my favorite superhero film of the last few years, but it still goes under No Way Home. Flaws and all, that movie holds a special place for me. Toby, I love you. Despite my love for the film, I had no real intention of watching a show about the Penguin. Like, he was funny in the movie, but like he only shows up for what, 10 minutes, if that.
Who's the Riddler?
Riddler! How should I know?
Maybe we can talk about what they did to my partner's face.
Holy God, what are you showing me?
His head.
Come on!
Open your eyes!
I was wishy-washy on it. I was deciding between watching that or Arcane. It was only after a friend recommended it to me that I gave it a shot. And to my surprise, this show turns the Penguin from a goofy henchman to the most vile, despicable villain like ever.
Just a poor kid from the east side who's got something to fucking prove.
The Penguin, also known as Oz, is the lens we follow this story through. The world's dealt him a bad hand, and Oz openly embraces all its cruelties. Gotham is just a playground for him to exploit his twisted desires. Unlike other villains of the week, his sinister nature isn't openly apparent. It's slowly uncovered as the show progresses. Him cozying up to the crime families has revealed an opportunity of a lifetime.
You still think there's good and bad, right and wrong? There ain't. There's just this. Survival.
The story that unfolds is haunting, yet fascinating. It's not just a great supervillain show, it's just damn good filmmaking. It has great writing, it has great performances, it has great action, it's gritty as hell, and the finale is a gut punch that made me go, "What the fuck?" If you watch this show and don't leave hating the Penguin, then brother man, you might be broken. Right from the first episode, I immediately thought, yeah, this show is for me. So the story takes place right after the events of the Batman. Riddler's explosion has flooded the slums, and now gang violence is at an all-time high. It's a dark and moody looking show, and it really sets a vibe that Gotham is a shithole. The show loves to light scenes dramatically. Heavy shadows engulf characters, almost like the city is consuming them. In fact, the corruption is so deep-seated that it trickles its way from the top down through every facet of Gotham. We follow the Penguin's rise from level 1 street crook to level 300 mafia boss. A lot of the time is spent with Oz scheming his takeover of Gotham's crime families. It has the same vibe as gangster movies like Goodfellas or The Godfather.
For most of the guys, killing's got to be accepted. Murder was the only way that everybody stayed in line. You got out of line, you got whacked. Everybody knew the rules.
Betrayal is a heartbreaking thing. It cuts deepest when it comes from someone you trust. Now imagine someone doing that their entire life. That's the kind of man Oz is. He does so many people dirty throughout the course of the show. With the amount of backstabbing, you would have thought it was a game of Mafia. Oz will lie, cheat, and throw anyone under the bus if it means saving his own skin.
You got a family?
Yes.
Fuck them, huh?
They have to die.
Oh. See,
I have to win the fight.
Despite his villainous tactics, he believes he's playing fair. Someone to be respected and applauded. His immense ego stops him from realizing that he's fucked up. So that's why whenever he does get clowned, he lashes out. This insecurity is what sets off the chain of events that is the Penguin. During the event of the Batman, Gotham's Kingpin was killed, leaving the crime underworld with a power vacuum. Oz takes the opportunity to go loot his old boss's hideout, and while sifting through, he gets caught by the underboss, Alberto Falcone.
What the fuck are you talking about?
these jewels belong to you. Your dad made that clear.
But some of the guys, well, you know, they're goddamn scavengers. So I thought I'd do you a solid as a show of support for your new position.
After a couple of drinks, Alberto starts venting to Oz. He's scared he won't live up to his father's legacy. And in an instance of compassion, Oz shares a childhood story about a gangster he looked up to.
Rex Calabrese. He was a big deal. At least in my neighborhood. He helped people. If someone in your family was sick, he'd find you a doctor. Short on rent, front you the cash. Know everyone's names, too.
This is your dream. It's so sweet, too. It's so pathetic. You really think people would make a float of your dumb face and march you down the street chanting your goddamn name? What a little bitch.
This moment right here symbolizes Oz's worldview. In a rare moment of vulnerability, he was humiliated for showing any kind of sentiment. In his mind, being vulnerable means being weak, and that makes you just as good as dead. Colin Farrell's performance is next level. The New York accent and vernacular embody that Italian mobster aura perfectly. The way he emotes looks like a cartoon villain, especially that shit-eating grin. I also like the little touches to his character, like his bum leg forcing him to waddle, and the sharp nose resembling a penguin. What I find fascinating is how well the show balances between making us sympathize with Oz and building him up to be a villain we pray for the downfall of. He's shown time and time again to be a cold-hearted asshole. You cannot trust this man, yet as the show progresses, you slowly start rooting for the guy and think, maybe he can redeem himself. Like when he takes care of his mother, or takes Vic under his wing. The shades of humanity is what makes Oz's character so compelling. That human touch is what the MCU is missing. They have so many characters in each of their infinitely interconnected stories at this point that the villain just becomes another ball to juggle. There is no deeper motivation than just doing it for the love of the game.
I don't like fighting people like that. Why you got a sword if you're gonna just be using poison?
I mean, I need to cut people so I can poison them.
What kind of villain are you? Like, look at him. Oh, shit. He had nothing to do with the fight.
Yes, I have to win the fight, so it's a sacrifice that I need.
Rest in peace.
I pray the MCU takes note of the Penguin's success. They have the time and resources to make the best films. Not movies, films. They sit on a treasure trove of IPs only to pump out slop like this.
Please stop thinking. Thinking that.
I'm trying.
Well, not very hard, and I think you look weird too.
I don't think you look weird. I think you look really cool. I wish my head glowed.
Like, this is the best we can come up with? Like, what the fuck are we doing here? I appreciate DC not treating me like a crayon muncher and giving me something actually thought-provoking to chew on. The MCU just seems to have resorted to gimmicks. They can have some interesting concepts and flashy visuals, but the narratives are always lackluster. I might have fun while watching it, but the moment I leave the theater, it's forever purged from my memory. Not because I hate it, but because it's forgettable. It's like the heart and soul of the story is missing. Their stories are more interested in building a cinematic universe. The problem is that they refuse to give breathing room to flesh out a character. So we end up with a forgettable cast. Characters like Spider-Man and Iron Man are so iconic because they were given the time to grow in a way that matters to the plot. The Penguin, on the other hand, is not afraid to take its time. The story isn't focused on building a universe, it's on telling a story. The world building is a product of that story. They understand that the personal connections we have with said character will get us invested. And they tell these stories in unique ways through the cinematography, the editing, the music, and the performances. They focus on the interpersonal drama, not the spectacle.
And you know, the real thorn in my side is that unlike everyone here, I was innocent.
This is Sophia Falcone, sister to Alberto Falcone, and next in line to be the new boss. After a decade in Arkham Asylum, she was finally freed. only to face rejection from the other members of the quote-unquote family. Rather than evoking sympathy, her years in Arkham is used as a reason to deny her inheritance. This struggle pushes her over the edge, leading her to wage a coup against the Falcones. The first time we see Sophia, it's uncanny. She's got a Wednesday Addams vibe going for her. You can tell something's wrong with her, but you can't really put your finger on it. And as the show progresses, bits and pieces of her past are slowly revealed, and we learn that there's more to Sophia besides being a deranged goth baddie, and that's what makes her compelling. Besides Oz, she is the best written character in the show. Sorry, Victor. One thing I respect about the Penguin is that there is no Batman. He does not make an appearance, nor is he mentioned until the final moments of the final episode, where we see his bat signal. The show is confident that viewers will remain engaged. It's kind of crazy how much they pack into 8 episodes. It's a roller coaster of emotions with no scene being a waste of time. I'm not a squeamish person, but some of these scenes are just demented. The show does not pull its punches. One of my favorite moments is from episode 7. I won't spoil it, but the flashback is that of nightmares. I could not believe what Oz had done, and it had my jaw on the floor. It was so fucked up. It was so messed up. And don't get me started on the dinner scene, like holy shit. My biggest complaint is that some character Oz have plot armor. On my rewatch, there were several moments where he should have been dead to rights. It feels like Oz maxed out persuasion and can just talk his way out of any situation. One moment in particular left me scratching my head like, how the hell did he sneak out of this one? This is the most I've been interested in Batman, and I'm excited to see like what DC is cooking up next. I hope it inspires Marvel to grab their nuts and take some goddamn risks. Edgier shows like The Boys and Invincible have gained an audience, and I appreciate DC pushing the needle in that direction. I recommend this to anyone who is burnt out of the theme ride that is the MCU. Now, I don't give this one lightly. I have rewatched it now, and I have to give this a 10 out of 10. Thank you to all my patrons, McConan, Emmanuel, Stinky Hamster, Nick, Prince, Kevin, and Silverbird. If you're interested in supporting me, there is a link to the Patreon in the description. I cannot wait for Oz to get his shit rocked in Batman 2. He deserves it for what he's done.